Hello, everybody. It's 9th of December, 2024, and I just wanted to jump online for a few reasons today. It is officially the release day for Our Evil Dead, which is pretty exciting. The 15th book in Adrian's, and it follows Adrian as he pushes through on his crazy journey across Europe, kind of homing in on how to fix everything. So I definitely wanted to talk about that, and also testing out some new streaming software, which is always a process. So forgive me if this does not function quite as well as we had hoped. But yeah, anyway, book's out. About 300 pages or so. It's about the same size as the regular AUD novels, and it's paperback came out a few days ago. So if you're able to order it the last couple of days, theoretically you would have received it by now on release day. The audio and the Kindle both went live at midnight, so they've been available all day today, and it looks like people are picking it up, which is really exciting. And I'm hoping that people can listen to it or read it, and then leave some honest reviews, because it's like a huge deal to leave reviews. It gives a ton of credibility for books and recommendations and whatnot. And there's always this big like meme that runs around in author circles where it's like, once a book gets 25 reviews, you get XYZ. And well, that's not necessarily true. Amazon does not care how many reviews you have per se. The issue is the volume of reviews a book has lends credibility to it, first of all. And second, a lot of the secondary promotional opportunities for books do require a certain level of reviews. So it does really help. You leave the reviews, people read the reviews, it's good. And then you can buy more advertising and get into different kinds of newsletters and stuff like that. So yes, please leave an honest review. Love you, thank you, huge deal. So from here, with AUD, the big thing to note is that more than likely the Adrian's March storyline will kind of come to an end in book 16. There was a chance that it would have come to an end in this book, but after kind of delving into some of the storylines and sort of parallel stuff that was going on, there was more than enough content to make this a solid book and then create a 16th book, which, for symmetricality's purpose, it would be really cool to end Adrian's March after 8 books, because the first set of books, the core series, as I like to call it, is 8, and then Adrian's March would then be 8, which is pretty cool. Hey, Christopher. Thanks for joining. But we'll see. I could start writing the next book and get 2/3 of the way through and realize, all right, well, we got to do another one. And the most important thing to me is making sure that I'm not dragging it out and putting too much filler in the books, and I'm not repeating myself and doing the same storylines. I don't want to drag it out. And 2, I want to make sure that I can wrap it up in a meaningful way. Again, without dragging it out, and also without clipping it and kind of not talking about stuff. So hopefully one more really good book brings Adrian to a close. After book 16, I've said it a few times that I am not sure if I'll be writing more in the Adrian's universe. When I finished the first 8 books, I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm burnt out. I wrote 8 books in the span of 2 years, and it was just a hellacious just rate to produce at. And I took like 4 or 5 years off, and then gestated the idea for the Adrian's March series. And once I had enough of that and I felt really excited about it, I started writing those books. It's kind of the same situation where, there will be enough open plot lines and potential futures at the end of book 16, where if I wanted to write more, I probably could. But I need to be like really, really jazzed about it. And it take me a few years to, cross off a bunch of other projects that I have going on the side, and I have to finish up the Diggory series, and I really want to write the last Dry Earth book. And just kind of like, button some stuff up before I keep going on this. But we'll see. And as soon as I have ideas on what I'm going to do, you'll be the first to hear. Hey, Josh. On a podcast binge. Yeah, I get that, man. Our Spotify Wrapped this year said that we were in the top 2% of all people who listen to podcasts in terms of volume. Most of that is because our kids listen to podcasts every time we leave the house. Sorry for the cough. I got a little bit of post-nasal drip. So yeah, I don't mind being, passed over for podcasts. I don't mind being passed over at all. Just when you come, you come. It's awesome. Book 2, you're listening to book 2. Awesome. Yeah, there's, like I said, Chris, there's 15, and then there's also the Tales from the World of AUD, which is another 7 books. They're not all full size though. Some of them are just little novellas, and they kind of fill in the gaps of things that Adrian doesn't get closure on and whatnot. And plus, there's the Locky trilogy, which we do have the 4th book in the can, but we need to do a Kickstarter to kind of fund it because Danielle, the lady who narrates Locky, is incredibly talented and also very expensive. And while she's worth every penny, it's difficult to come up with that much money to fund an audiobook kind of out of the blue off my regular sort of business plan budget. Carl is also crazy busy with a new job, and we're just trying to figure it out day to day. Josh binged the first 8 books in 2 weeks. That's a lot. Yeah. So after that, I mentioned that I needed to do a shared world novel with a bunch of other authors. I think there's 10 or 12 of us, and we're all writing a novel set in a sort of an EMP, coronal mass ejection, apocalyptic scenario. I started working on that already, and it's obviously different than anything I've ever written. It's, apocalyptic, not post-apocalyptic. You are in the middle of the end during the book, and there are no zombies. So the threats are more environmental and social and, in the town that these characters are in. But I have a really cool idea for the storyline. The title of the book so far is The Hat Trick, which will make a lot of sense once you start reading or listening to it. But the shared world's called The Ravaged Skies. And it's about this, world-ending solar flare mass ejection that, leaves the skies in an aurora borealis across the world kind of permanently. And that'll be a lot of fun. A bunch of good author buddies of mine are all participating by putting a novel into the series, and they're all going to be kind of, if not directly linked to each other, they will share the same universe, and there will be some crossover in terms of like locations and characters and stuff, which is pretty sweet. So once you get into the series, you'll start to see the connections between them, and it's always fun to do stuff like that. So working on that one. It's not going to be a huge novel. Hopefully I'll have that wrapped by like end of January. My release date in the schedule for it, I think, is in March. So if I can get it wrapped in January or February, that puts me on target for the deadline for it, which will be cool. And then after that, more than likely, I will be splitting my time between wrapping up Diggory, because that deserves closure. The 4th book will end that series. And then my other project. So I've mentioned a few times that, once AUD kind of finishes it, it's kind of like my cash cow, right? Adrian's was the biggest, the first, and continues to be the biggest. And even though all of the other things I write do okay, there's nothing quite like Adrian. So if I am putting him on hiatus for any period of time, I want to be trying to write something that I hope will catch and bolster my career. And to that end, I have a couple of ideas, and there's one that I'm pretty passionate about that I think I'm going to follow through on. I don't want to say too much about it because it's still kind of in its early gestational points. But I'll probably be starting that alongside Diggory 4. And that'll be pretty cool. And somewhere I would like to do, like I said, The Colony Lost and Dry Earth, the third book, to finish up Yasmin's trilogy. Chris, Mark Tufo, yeah, Zombie Fallout. You help with narrative. Yeah, my hope, Chris, is that I can have DJ stay on for the remainder of the series, because he's a good guy and he's reliable and he listens and he does good work. After everything went south with the earlier narrator. But it is what it is. And then I have Joe Hempel narrating the Diggory series. And if I decide to do this other one, I'll probably have Steve Van Samson narrate it. Steve just did the Colony of Lies novella audiobook for me, which is only 2-3 hours. And he killed it. It was awesome. It sounded great. And I think his voice and his sort of like means would really suit the idea that I have developing. So in terms of other projects that are going, I'm still affiliated with the Bad Wabbit series by Anthony Castro and Dead Man Walking comics. I think book 3 is finally a wrap. Book 4 is in process. And Anthony tried to kickstart the third book, but it did not fund. It did not meet its funding goal. There are reasons for that, and a bummer, but we can always do it again. So I think once the 4th book is done, I'm encouraging him to do a Kickstarter for 3 and 4 at the same time, as opposed to just 3. Because indie comics are expensive, and you pretty much have to charge $20 for a comic book no matter what. And I think it would be a better buy for new backers to come in and say, hey, instead of paying $20 for book 3, why don't you pay $30 for books 3 and 4? Saves them a little bit of money, gives you a little bit more oomph, and maybe we'll come up with some cool backing rewards. I don't know if we're going to do me flying to Montana to hang out with him to sign the books as a stretch goal again, but maybe it'll be cool. So yeah, Bad Wabbit's still kind of moving in the background. That doesn't take up a ton of my time anymore. I have 2 other comic projects. One of them is completely dead. The other one is trickling along. I don't have to put any more time into that one, other than to just kind of check over the art as it comes in. But we're only like 6 pages into 40, and the likelihood of the next 34 pages getting done anytime soon is slim to none. So I'm not pressing on that at all. I have, what else do I have going on? There's, TV stuff is stalled out again. We were talking about that a lot previously, and kind of nothing's going on with that. We had some hard inquiries for movie rights, not TV rights, but movie rights, and that didn't really go anywhere. So as of right this second, nothing's happening, which is kind of status quo for most writers. What else? I was working with another author, a reputable author that you know the name of. He's in the genre, and he's working on launching some comic book series stuff, which is great. It's kind of helping him in the background, which is awesome, a lot of fun. And yeah, I think that's about it. Just a reminder that all merch sales for the most part go through Redbubble. So if you're looking for like hats, stickers, clothes, clocks, whatever, you can go to Redbubble and just plop my name in. It'll bring up my store there. I don't have the time to do all the order fulfillment, and I certainly don't have the space to warehouse everything. So having all of my stuff on there and then letting them kind of do the legwork is a huge help. So if you wanted anything, that's where you'll find it, with the exception of signed books in the hardcovers. So kind of a 2-layer thing there. I do a fairly small amount of signed paperbacks direct. Again, I don't have a ton of space to inventory, cases and cases of books. But if you want something signed, you're more than welcome to reach out. Just ping a message on social media to me, or send me an email if you know how to find it. And you just pay me through PayPal or Venmo, and I'll just send you some books, whatever you need, as long as I have it. And then the hardcovers, which I kickstarted beginning of last year, something like that. The 8-book complete hardcover boxed sets of Adrian's. I say complete, but the first 8 books complete. Those were Kickstarter exclusives. all of those sold out, the limited edition ones, and then now there are mass market ones that have been released via retail, and they haven't really been selling, which is a bummer because I didn't really make any money on that Kickstarter, and not having them sell once they were into retail was like kind of a surprise because so many people have been asking for them. But with the help of Jeremy Flagg, Cover Villain, the guy who does a lot of technical work on the book production side for me. He's also like a website guru and interfacing AI, IT sort of guy. We got into it and figured out that the websites weren't talking to each other appropriately. So the printer that I have prints the books and sends them direct to customers, but in order to be bought, there has to be like a retail place where they can click buy, right? And they were distributing links and retail stuff to a bunch of websites, but the Amazon listings for the hardcovers wasn't populating correctly, and it wasn't linking to the page. So even if you searched, Chris Philbrook hardcover, it wouldn't come up right because there was something wrong with the metadata, which is why I wasn't getting any sales on Amazon through that. And then the links on my website were not functioning for the same reason. So anybody who went to my website and tried to click on the buy the hardcover button, it wasn't functioning right. And nobody reached out to me to let me know up until recently. And one of my friends actually was trying to buy some hardcovers for Christmas for a gift. And he was like, "Hey, buddy, your website's messed up." I'm like, what? So anyway, those are functional now. So if you want to get any of those hardcovers, you can go straight to my website. That would be the best way to do it. And if you just scroll down, you'll see there's a spot where it says, buy hardcovers or whatever. You can pick as many as you want. Sorry, tired. One, whatever. The one thing I will note is that the hardcovers are currently shipping from the UK facility because the company that I'm working with is building a new US facility, but they can't do all of the cover styles and dust jackets yet. So the stuff that I have is still only printable in the UK. So when you do order them, the shipping is a little bit higher than normal. That being said, it's not crazy higher than normal. I think normally, if you're not ordering a book via Prime, which covers the shipping for a single book is like anywhere from $3 to $5, $6 or $7 for a big book. And right now the shipping for my hardcovers is like about 10. So a few bucks more expensive. But if you buy several and they can package them all at once, then it's not that bad. Then, it kind of comes out in the wash. So if anybody wants a hardcover, you can go to my website, scroll down a little bit, and you'll see the buy links for them. So with the holidays, if you wanted to get one for Christmas, you would have to order it like right now because it takes a few days for them to assemble your order, and then posting takes 5-6 days at least. So the hardcovers are all fixed, which is great. The Amazon side of it is still getting sorted out. Apparently they think they're all leather bounds, which is not true. And the leather bounds appeared briefly and then disappeared. So we're still kind of hashing that out, but they exist on my website. Mr. Logan, you may ask me a question. I'm trying to write a book. How can you find someone to help you out with publishing it? That is a question that requires hours of conversation. Long story, very short. You kind of have to decide what your goal for releasing the book is, as in how you want it to reach the masses. The three kind of primary ways is to query an agent, to find a literary agent that'll help you distribute it to publishers. Getting an agent's pretty challenging. It takes a long time, and it's a lot of rejection. Second option is just submitting straight to actual regular publishers, which again takes a really long time. And there's no guarantee. And the third option is to self-publish, which is obviously, in terms of barrier to market, there's no barrier. You just put the book out. But when you do that, it does push a lot of the work of publishing back onto you. So you have to manage your formatting of the inside of the book. You have to make sure you buy cover art and cover art gets formatted. You have to do all your own promotional work and stuff like that. So decide how much work you want to put into publishing. that would be my biggest amount of advice. If you don't want to do any of that stuff, I would advise querying agents first. If you're looking for guidance on like the more technical end, like if you've already decided to self-publish, I would source an editor, source some cover artists, and figure out how to do your own internal formatting or find someone who will do it for you. All of that costs money. For cover stuff, I highly recommend Cover Villain. Jeremy is fairly priced for the level of quality he gives you. He's not expensive for what he does. He's not cheap, but he's worth it. And he's prompt and courteous and thoughtful and helpful. I would recommend him until the cows come home. But yeah, just decide on how you want to get it to market. If you want to, try and grab a publisher, and try to get them to do all the legwork for you, or if you want to do it yourself. So that would be my advice. And let's see, what other updates? Still building some Legos, still playing lots of D&D with my friends and my family. The girls have now started to play D&D here at home, which is fun. We might play tonight. We missed our game on Sunday, and it's been a real pleasure introducing the hobby to them and having them seemingly really like it. As a guy who's been a gamer since he was like 12, having my kids do it is like a pretty big thing. But I only want to do it with them if they actually like it. I don't want them to just do it because I like it. And so far they seem to like it, so we'll continue. For appearances and stuff, I don't really have anything scheduled. We're into the holidays right now, so we kind of slow down and just kind of spend some time at home. I do have a meet and greet / signing on the books for late January in Milford, New Hampshire, which is kind of south central New Hampshire, at their local library, the Wadley Library. Beautiful building, plenty of parking. It's a free event. You can just come and hang out. That'll be fun. What D&D are you playing? 5.0 or 3.5? You play Pathfinder 3.5? Yeah. I did old school, like I started in AD&D and did that for years. And then I played 3 and 3.5 for years. And then I did not do any 4th edition. It did not appeal to me. And then 5th edition has been fun. But, I'm kind of getting bored with it. That being said, as a gamer, like a tabletop gamer, I've played innumerable other systems, not just Dungeons and Dragons, not just fantasy. And I love lots of those things. You can't see it here, but this whole wall of my office, I did built-in bookshelves, and it's mostly gaming stuff and novels. And just from where I'm sitting, from what I can read, there's Call of Cthulhu 2 or 3 editions. There's a bunch of the White Wolf, World of Darkness games, Mage, Vampire, Werewolf, Wraith, Hunter, Demon the Fallen. All the 5e stuff is in here. Bunch of my old 2nd edition setting stuff is in here. Like I have pretty much a full run of like Dark Sun and Planescape and Spelljammers. I have all that stuff. I also have Fading Suns. I have Mothership. I have Nobilis. I have Forbidden Lands. All Flesh Must Be Eaten. Just, tons of different systems. But right now, mostly we're playing 5e because that's like the flavor of the month. So I actually got to play with a bunch of friends this weekend, which was really cool. We tried to do a one-shot that might turn into a campaign and had a pretty fun character, so it was enjoyable. But, things are good otherwise. For those of you who are kind of aware, last year and this year have been kind of a big influx year for the family here. We were living in we sold our house a couple of years ago and moved into a rental to get our kids into a better school in a better area of the state that has more to offer for them and for us. And we were living in a rental house that was really, really small. And while we were in a great location, we were basically all stacked up on top of each other like a totem pole. And we did not have much space. And my wife and I were working in the basement, which didn't really have heat. And we had to like alternate. So when she was working downstairs, I couldn't work downstairs, and then I was working at the kitchen table, or I was working on the couch in the living room, and then she would finish working, and I'd bring all my stuff back downstairs. It was tough. We made it work. And then there was the spin up to buying the house that we're currently in right now. This might be the first live I've done in this room, maybe might be the second. But this is my new office here, which is not in the basement. Obviously, you can see I actually have a window here with a curtain. Yeah. But the move in here dragged out quite a bit. We bought the house in February and then weren't able to move in until the end of March. So we spent that whole 3 or 4 week span, Patty. We spent that whole 3 or 4 week span packing and moving stuff over by the carload because we didn't want to rent a truck before we could move in because we were getting the floors redone here. It's a really old farmhouse, 1797. And the floors were in really rough shape. But we knew some people who did flooring. My wife is affiliated with people through her past that do flooring, and they were able to come in and redo most of the house for us for essentially cost, which was a game changer. But we had to wait 2 weeks for them to come in and do it. And then on the day that they were supposed to come in and do it, they said they were going to be a week or two late. And at that point, we're like, well, our lease is up in 2 weeks. So, we got to move now. And then we were frantically trying to pack up the last of it and find a mover who could help us. And then we moved in, but we knew we were going to have to move all the furniture out for them to do the floors. So we moved basically everything into the garage here and populated like the bedrooms and the living room, and then just kind of like left everything else empty. And we lived like that for a few weeks, and then they did the floors, and then you got to wait 3 or 4 days for everything to sit. And then we moved everything out of the garage into the house. So we moved basically like 3 times in the span of a month, which was exhausting and took a lot of time, and I missed a lot of work. That being said, the new house is fantastic. It's so much bigger. My wife and I both have our own offices back, and the kids have their own bedrooms, and they're good sized. And, we've got plenty of space. We have a dining room, and we've been able to entertain for, we did Friendsgiving and we did Thanksgiving, and I just had a game day with a bunch of my buddies, and it's just fantastic. Housing market's bananas. It was a process, but we're doing it. So, and all of that is happening because my wife has a very successful private practice as a licensed mental health therapist, and because people like you keep buying my books, which is an amazing accomplishment. So big thank you to everybody out there who's making that happen. And other than that, life here is good. We are all healthy. My wife had a health scare last month, and I don't want to divulge too much, but it was a very sudden, potentially bad emergency. But we caught it before it became really bad, and she was able to get it fixed. And the healing has been tough, but she's over the hump now. She's good to go. We're nice and safe, and everything's fixed up, and we don't have anything to worry about. But it was like really intensely scary for a few days, and then everything was okay. So, hey, Dieter, thank you. Health-wise, everyone else is good. Coughs and stuff, but it's that season, and we have elementary age kids, so we're always perpetually sick at some level. We had to get new cars. We are not car people. I think I've mentioned. We buy the vehicles that do what we need them to do, and we don't really care so much about how cool they are or necessarily what color they are, to a point. And we had an old minivan and my wife's old Corolla, and we just drove those. There are beaters, but then the minivan had like 180,000 miles on it, and we brought it in for inspection, and they were like, yes, so you need like $1,500 in work on this thing. And it just didn't make sense. So we bought a new car to replace the van. If you're curious, we got a Toyota Grand Highlander, which is awesome. And it's like weird having a brand new car because we haven't had a brand new car in like 20 years. So the fact that it has like a backup camera is like, whoa. And all the other whistles and doodads it does really makes me feel like I'm flying a spaceship. And then just in September, when we brought the Corolla in to get inspected, they were basically like, yeah, this thing's going to need like $3,000 in work. And to be fair, it was like a 2006 Corolla. So the fact that it lasted us this long has been a miracle. And after gnashing our teeth and fighting over what to do, we went and pulled the trigger and we got a Tesla. So that thing's really cool. And while I am not a fan of Elon Musk and his behaviors, the car is pretty badass. And we are choosing to believe that we are supporting the people who work at that organization and all the people who helped design the car. And we are putting our money in all of their people's pockets, not his. So is what it is. Data 2008 Pathfinder. Oh yeah, this thing's last forever. 210,000 miles. Yep. Yeah, we had to park our car outside on dirt, which up here in New England is like one of the worst things you can do for your car, because the moisture of the ground and the snow just sits underneath it, and you start to your struts go, and you get rust on the the inside of the frame and crap like that, and it shortens the life of a car dramatically. If you can park on pavement or you can park in a garage, you get another 3-4 years out of a car up here, if not more. And we now have a garage, so hopefully these cars will last us a very long time, because we don't really want to buy any more. These will be the cars that our kids learn to drive in, hopefully. So that's a pretty cool thought to think. And again, all that's possible because you people keep buying my books and supporting me, because my wife has a successful therapy practice. But yeah, I just wanted to pop on and test out this new software and say hi to everybody, because it's release day for Our Evil Dead, book 15 of Adrian's, and just say thank you to everyone, give you a little update. I try to do some regular updates over on Patreon, but mostly I'm posting the chapters over there, and I'll ask for feedback on stuff as we develop. And pretty soon, I think in the next, if not this week, next week, I will begin to post chapters of the new The Ravaged Skies coronal mass ejection apocalyptic novel. That one's a little bit slower paced. It's not like action from page one. So I think it'll be a little bit more of a slow burn, but whatever. I'm excited. It'll be, it's very character driven. So we do both need a vacation. We took a vacation last December, maybe. We took the kids on a Disney cruise for 4 days, that was a cool trip. I recommend the Disney cruise if you have kids. It was nice and self-contained, and there were so many things that we did not have to worry about. There was always food. There was always drink. It didn't matter if they didn't want to eat something. We didn't have to worry about finding a restaurant. If we wanted a cocktail, we didn't have to worry about driving. We got a stateroom that had a balcony, so it was like a few feet bigger, and the kids had plenty of space at one end of the room, and we had plenty of space, and it was totally awesome. But we do need a vacation. We haven't had a proper vacation in a long time. So hello, Mr. Kiernan. Nice to see you. But yeah, we haven't had a proper vacation in a long time. We haven't had a date in a long time either. But now that we live closer to family and we can find some babysitters, hopefully we can spend some time just being us instead of mom and dad all the time. So not that I don't love being mom and dad, but it's different. Yeah, so I'm probably going to try to pop on again later tonight at, I don't know, after the kids go down. So maybe around 9 o'clock Eastern Standard. And I'll try and do another little Q&A. Maybe I'll have a theme or something. We'll be around for the people who are out of work and say hi. And hopefully by then some people have listened to the book or read a bunch of it, and I can hear from you what you think. This one's a little different than the others. It has the series ramps up in some directions that it's been moving in, but this is definitely a big jump. Chris Logan, you're very welcome for the books. The next series, should I want listening to Adrian Diary after? If you're talking about Adrian's after you finish book 8, Cassie, my recommendation would be do not move on to book 9 yet. I would recommend doing the Tales books. And if you've you can get the whole thing, the omnibus of all 7, on the Kindle for like, I don't know, $6, something like that. And Dieter, the new book is Our Evil Dead. And then after you finish the Tales books, Chris, you can come back to book 9, because there's lots of stuff in the Tales that kind of fit in that timeline that'll help make 9 forward smoother. And then you could do the Locky books at that point, or do them after like book 10 or 11. But the Locky books start to kind of tie in right around book 12, I think. You start to see, why that storyline is important. So after the core series, do the Tales series, and then go back to book 9 or maybe Locky. So I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to close out this new streaming software and see if I can do it right and make sure everything gets posted to the right places. This is going to my 2 Facebook pages, my profile on my page, as well as YouTube. So the new series. Whoa, what new series? The Ravaged Skies EMP one, which is a shared world collection. It's not necessarily a series. There's no sequential order. It's just a whole bunch of us writing in the same scenario. And that's called Ravaged Skies. And I think the first book comes out December or January, like the end of this month, something like that. So mine is like the 7th or 8th in the release schedule. But yeah, Ravaged Skies. And then after that, Degree, and then the new series that I haven't really talked about yet. So anyway, I'll be on later tonight around 9 o'clock, I think, for maybe an hour. So if you want to check back in, or if you have any questions, kind of write them down, or email them or whatever. And hopefully I can talk to everybody later. So thanks again, everyone. I hope you